What if I told you that the very moment you start chasing someone, you've already lost? Think about that for a second. Every time you run after a person, what you're really saying is, you're above me, I need you more than you need me, and I'm willing to sacrifice my dignity just to keep your attention. That's not love, that's weakness dressed up as affection. And here's the brutal truth. The more you chase, the more they run. The more you prove, the less they respect you. Attraction isn't built in the grasping, it's built in the space, in the mystery, in the quiet power of restraint. Weak men think the solution is to try harder. They bombard her with calls, they beg for reassurance, they send long texts explaining their worth. But that only reinforces one thing: desperation. And desperation repels. Women sense it. They smell it. They run from it because deep down, nobody wants to feel like they're carrying the weight of another person's identity. But masculine men, they operate differently. They know their value doesn't depend on someone else's validation. They don't need to chase because their presence speaks louder than words. They understand that disappearing isn't punishment, it's self-respect. You see, disappearing is a test of truth. It's where you draw the line and say, if you don't meet me with respect, I won't force it. I walk. That's not arrogance, it's boundaries. It's a declaration that your worth isn't negotiable. Now, let's contrast that with the reality of a weak relationship. Picture the man who constantly chases. He's always afraid of losing her. He tolerates disrespect. He sacrifices his goals, his friendships, even his identity, all to hold on to someone slipping through his fingers. And what happens? She loses attraction because she no longer sees him as a man she can admire. He becomes a shell, consumed by fear, drained by neediness, hollowed out by dependency. That's the slow death of masculinity. But when you flip it, when you live from a place of strength, everything changes. A masculine man doesn't need to cling. He knows he can rebuild, refocus, and redirect his energy at any moment. He understands that if she can lose him, she'll value him more. And if she doesn't, then she was never truly his to begin with. That kind of strength is magnetic. It creates polarity. Because here's the paradox. The one who needs less controls more. The one who can walk away is the one who sets the standard. And that standard doesn't just affect the relationship, it spills into every area of life. Confidence, business, friendships, leadership. They all rise when you stop chasing and start standing firm in your worth. Let me ask you this. Would you rather be the man who spends his life begging for scraps of attention, or the man who sets such a high bar that people either rise to meet it or fall away? Do you want to be the man who bends, twists, and shrinks just to keep someone around, or the man who grows so strong that others are drawn to him without him lifting a finger? This is dark psychology, but it's also liberation. Because disappearing isn't about games. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I'd rather stand alone in truth than kneel in false love. And here's the mic drop moment. Chasing kills attraction, but disappearing demands respect. So decide right now, are you going to spend your life running after people who devalue you? Or are you going to rise so high in your own strength that they're forced to chase you? Why do so many men hand over their power the moment they feel attraction? Think about that. They meet a woman, they feel chemistry, and instantly, without even realizing it, they abandon themselves. They stop living by their mission, they compromise their values, and they start living for her approval instead of their purpose. That is the silent killer of attraction. It's the unspoken disease that destroys relationships from the inside out. The moment you make another person the center of your universe, you kill the very thing that drew them to you in the first place. Because attraction is built on polarity, on strength meeting strength, not on weakness dressed up as devotion. A man who abandons his mission to chase love isn't admirable, he's replaceable. Women don't fall in love with men who orbit around them. They fall in love with men who are so rooted in their purpose that nothing can shake them. They want to feel your strength, not your submission. And here's the harsh reality. The more you make her your purpose, the more she loses interest. She might not even know why. She'll say things like, I just don't feel the spark anymore. But deep down, what she's really saying is, you stopped being the man I could admire. You stopped leading. You stopped living your mission. And when a man loses that, he loses her respect. Now contrast that with a man who doesn't flint. He knows his purpose is bigger than any one relationship. He loves her fully, but he never abandons himself in the process. He shows up strong, consistent, and grounded. His mission gives his life weight, and that weight pulls her deeper into his orbit. That's the kind of man a woman trusts. That's the kind of man she feels safe surrendering to, because she knows he won't crumble under pressure, he won't beg for scraps, and he won't lose himself in the chaos of attraction. And here's something science backs up. Human beings are wired to respect strength and leadership. Evolution shaped women to desire men who can handle the storms of life without losing their center. Men who stay rooted in their mission create certainty. Men who abandon it create chaos. And chaos always kills attraction. Let me ask you directly, have you noticed how your relationships shift when you make her the focus instead of your purpose? You become anxious, you get jealous, you overanalyze texts, you start acting like a boy, not a man. And the more you do it, the more she tests you. Because deep down, she doesn't want to lead. She wants to feel your strength. She wants to know that you're immovable. That's what disappears when you hand over your power. But when you're locked into your mission, everything flips. Suddenly, you're not needy, you're grounded. You're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not reacting, you're leading. And that changes the entire dynamic of the relationship because she can feel that you don't need her to complete you. You're already whole. And ironically, that's when she gives herself to you more fully. The paradox of love is this: the less you chase it, the more it comes to you. When your mission is first, love becomes the reward, not the replacement for your identity. And that creates respect, that creates admiration, that creates passion that lasts. So here's the truth you cannot ignore. If you want to keep her love, never sacrifice your mission. Because the second you abandon yourself, you lose her too. Remember this, a man on his mission doesn't need to chase. His life is already so magnetic, so full of strength and purpose, that love has no choice but to follow. Have you ever wondered why some people stay stuck in toxic relationships long after the love, the respect, and the passion are dead? Why do they tolerate being disrespected, lied to, or treated as an option when they deserve more? The answer is simple, but it cuts deep. They're terrified of being alone. They'd rather cling to misery than face the silence of solitude. That fear of being alone is the chain that keeps people enslaved to mediocrity. And I'll tell you this, if you can't walk away from something that destroys your peace, you'll never experience the kind of love that elevates your soul. Weak men stay because they fear loss more than they value themselves. Strong men walk away because they know their worth cannot be negotiated. Think about this. What message are you sending when you tolerate disrespect? When you let someone cross boundaries again and again? You're teaching them exactly how to treat you. And the moment you tolerate it once, you open the door for it to keep happening. That's why the man who disappears instead of chasing sends such a powerful message. He's not doing it out of spite, anger, or ego. He's doing it because his self-respect is more valuable than temporary comfort. He understands something most people never grasp. Your silence often speaks louder than your words. You walk away, you're not just leaving behind disrespect, you're choosing growth, freedom, and dignity. But when you stay and beg for scraps of love, you shrink. You become smaller. You lose yourself one compromise at a time. Let me ask you, what's the cost of staying where you don't belong? How many years have people wasted hoping someone will change? How much energy has been drained trying to earn love that should flow freely? The truth is brutal. The longer you stay, the more you lose. You lose time, you lose respect, and worst of all, you lose the man you were meant to become. But here's the contrast. When you walk away, you reclaim everything. Your confidence grows, your standards rise, your energy returns, and life begins to reward you with people and opportunities that match your worth. It's like pruning a tree. Cutting away the dead branches feels painful, but it's the only way to make space for new growth. And here's the psychological truth backed by countless studies. People respect those who respect themselves. Boundaries aren't selfish. They are essential. When you enforce them, you not only protect your heart, but you also inspire others to rise to your level. And yes, walking away is hard. It hurts. It feels like tearing a part of yourself out. But that pain is temporary. Staying stuck in misery, that pain is permanent, and it will eat you alive from the inside out. So the question is this: are you willing to endure the short-term pain of walking away for the long-term reward of freedom and self-respect? Or will you keep settling for crumbs, convincing yourself it's a meal? Because life doesn't reward those who cling. It rewards those who are willing to let go. And when you let go, when you disappear instead of chase, you create the space for something extraordinary to enter your life. That's when real love shows up, the kind that doesn't require begging, proving, or suffering, the kind that feels like home, not a battlefield. Remember this: disappearing isn't weakness, it's the ultimate demonstration of strength. Chasing proves you need them, disappearing proves you need yourself more, and that is the kind of man who cannot be ignored. The man who values his peace over her presence, his mission over her attention, and his self-respect over her approval. The man who can walk away at any moment without fear, that is the man the world cannot control. And here's your mic drop truth: if you don't have the courage to walk away, you'll never have the power to be truly loved. Why do so many men lose themselves the moment they get into a relationship? Why do they give up their mission, abandon their purpose, and start living only for the approval of a woman? I'll tell you why. Because they confuse love with dependency. They think being all in means sacrificing their identity, their drive, their masculine edge. But here's the raw truth: the second you give up your mission, you stop being the man she fell in love with in the first place. You become weaker, needier, and easier to control. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who abandons his own path. A man without a mission is a man already halfway dead. He's restless, anxious, insecure, because deep down he knows he's betrayed himself. And do you know what happens when you betray yourself? Everyone else follows. She stops respecting you. The world stops rewarding you. Your own mind stops believing in you. Contrast that with the man who stays rooted in his mission. He's grounded. He's unshakable. He's magnetic because he doesn't need validation. He's already validated by the pursuit of his purpose. That's what makes him irresistible. Think about it. Why do women test men? Why do they push, pull, and sometimes even try to knock you off center? It's not because they want to destroy you. It's because they want to feel if you're real. They want to know, can this man be trusted when life gets hard? Will he stay grounded when storms hit? A man on his mission cannot be rattled by a test because he's not living for her approval. He's living for his destiny. And that's what inspires loyalty, attraction, and love at the deepest level. But when a man abandons his purpose, the opposite happens. He becomes emotionally unstable, he clings, he overthinks every word, every text, every silence. He becomes the very thing he promised himself he'd never be: weak, lost, desperate. And let me be blunt, no one loves that man, not even himself. And here's where the pain really sets in. When you put her at the center of your life, you make her your mission, but she can never fulfill that role. She doesn't want that role. She wants to be a partner, not a prison guard. The moment you hand her the keys to your identity, she loses attraction because deep down she knows you've stopped leading yourself. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a man who never loses sight of his mission. Even in love, he's building, he's striving, he's disciplined, he's chasing growth, not just comfort. That man isn't only respected, he's admired because his woman knows she doesn't own him. The world doesn't own him. Fear doesn't own him. His mission owns him. And that makes him rare. That makes him powerful. That makes him unforgettable. Science backs this up too. Studies show that people in purpose-driven relationships not only stay together longer, but they report higher satisfaction, deeper intimacy, and stronger attraction. Why? Because purpose fuels polarity. When a man lives for something beyond her, she can trust him more, lean on him more, and love him more. He's not just a partner, he's a leader. So here's the brutal truth. If you let go of your mission for her, you'll eventually lose her too. But if you stay true to your mission, even if she leaves, you'll still have your foundation. And from that foundation, everything else can be rebuilt. But without it, you're nothing. You're dust. Let me ask you, what kind of man do you want to be remembered as? The man who lost himself for love, or the man who stayed rooted in his purpose and in doing so became the kind of man love could never leave? Because the difference between those two paths is the difference between misery and greatness. And here's your mic drop moment. A man who makes a woman his mission will always lose both. A man who makes his mission his life will attract everything else worth keeping.